Hi everybody, this is Wendy and Dave from Be, Do, Learn, Have, Live, and this week we're going to be talking about the progression of our kids through our journey so far of our personal development and how their journey is coming along. So when we started this journey, or Dave started the journey, the kids really had nothing to do with anything, and then when I started, I gradually started getting them to sit down and maybe watch The Secret and to talk about quotes that I've come across through the time that it cropped up, I guess. Did you do anything for personal development for the kids?
No, I think initially it was more that the kids themselves were watching us and seeing what changes were happening or if anything was going to change.
Right.
I think they were viewing us with that outside skepticism of, oh, you're working on yourselves. Oh, that's nice. How's that going to turn out? And what's the result going to be? Probably, is there going to be an ROI? Not that they would even know what that term was. They might have some idea now, but...
An ROI of what, personal development?
Yeah, for the money you invest, what are you getting back? Are you seeing something? Are you seeing any results?
Yeah.
All the investments we make or the trials on this, that, and everything else, like what's coming. Certainly more from our eldest.
Yes.
He certainly had that logical mind of, is it making you money? Are you getting anything yet?
Right.
That was certainly one of those things I think both of us picked up a few months back.
Yeah. So since we've been really delving into it a heck of a lot more within the house, as in not watching any television, listening to audios, books, and in the car when they're in the car, and just the general high energy, positive energy within the house from the both of us, they have actually picked quite a lot of things up. I was looking through some of my notes the other day from Paradigm Shift with Bob and my Matrix notes, and I wrote at the time, the kids will gradually pick up this stuff through their subconscious because we've been always talking about it, so they're going to pick it up through osmosis anyway. And the interesting thing is, reviewing my notes the other day, it's totally true, they really have, because our eldest, who's 19, is now listens to audiobooks when he's taking the dog for a walk. He listens to audiobooks other times as well. He's listened to Outwitting the Devil and The Richest Man in Babylon and
The Monk Who Sold His
Ferrari, quite a few other books as well, because he's an audio learner rather than a reader, and he's really switched his mind around quite significantly actually, and he's realizes he needs to spend the time on himself to improve himself for the future. And in fact, he has a vision board, which is actually one of his bedroom walls, which has got 10 billion of what he wants to get in the future and all the different ideas that go with it, which is actually quite impressive. And our youngest has not flip-flopped, but he's gone like this. In fact, both of them have really. They're interested, then they sort of ease off a bit and they're up again. And the youngest is still at school, he's in grade 12, so uses school as an excuse a little bit to not do things, but does read and certainly gets a lot of the concepts with personal development as well. Do you want to talk about the chat we had the other night? That was good.
The chat we had the other night, yes. Coming from the last year, although I don't know if we want to review any specifics from the last year.
No, I don't think there's anything specific, is there?
Well, maybe not, but I mean over the course of the last couple of years, in saying that the kids are observing us, they will have seen that Wendy read books in the past, most of which would be I wouldn't say fiction and fantasy, but they're certainly fiction based books or books about health, diet, and stuff like that, but not more the fiction kind of, make you feel good books. And for myself, I pretty much didn't read a whole lot until I started this, as I never actually liked reading. And now that I've got into this I have certainly become an avid reader, and depending on the book or what my schedule's doing, I can average probably, maybe at the best, possibly a book a week. If it's a small book, certainly maybe one and a bit. But for the most part, I'm probably getting 1 or 2 books out a month. And I've usually got a couple of books on the go. So the kids have seen sort of no books to all of a sudden we're ordering books every month, and there's books, and we've got mountains around our beds that we're like, oh yeah, I want to read that one. And it's like, well, I got to finish this one first and then get into that one. So they've seen a lot of that. They've seen us go from kind of not doing a whole lot with our evenings, maybe having a few bits and pieces going on, or sort of organized chaos, as it were, for a lot of time, to watching continual webinars. We'd both be on different programs watching webinars, like one a week for different people, and then we'd have other motivational videos that have come on and get watched. We'll have programs, we'll have these things where we're listening, or we're watching documentaries now for watching TV, and we're learning out, okay. Hello again. All right, we were cut off, unfortunately, by my phone ringing. I need to set the do not disturb feature on this so that I don't get disturbed. But I've had that on for the last month, and I haven't actually been getting any phone calls and been wondering why, so I've turned it back on now, and such is life. But anyway, we were talking about the kids noticing us reading books, having the books pile up, watching documentaries, getting involved in various different programs. So from rather having organized chaos of an evening in the last sort of year and a half, we've gone from pretty much doing nothing or doing odd little household projects to having our evenings and weekends completely filled up by going on various courses, carrying out with work, sitting in on webinars or programs that are reoccurring, or watching and getting involved in some of the other aspects of ongoing learnings, trainings, filling out notebooks, reading more books, and even having conversations. And as Wendy was saying, the audio books have certainly been one of those things that as we're driving to Toronto, we listen to these books, or even if we're on a longer drive, we'll end up listening to these books. And so the kids have seen that, and if they've been out in the car, they've been noticing that, okay, oh no, I don't want to go with Dad, he's going to have podcasts on again, and all that kind of stuff. So we've been having all these things, and every time we get out of the car, it's like, oh wow, that was amazing, oh, did you hear that point? And they're just watching this. Well, half the time they sit in the back seats and they've got their own music playing, and they're like, and sometimes they're listening, and every now and then we're just assuming they're listening to their own music, and all of a sudden that they'll say something or ask a question like, well, you've been listening to this? Really? Okay. So they've been taking odd little bits in, but as with a lot of this information, the repetition is good. So they have been grabbing stuff, but they've certainly been watching us with different eyes of, well, okay, so you're doing all this, that's great, you've now got less time for us, which I think in a lot of cases is probably a bit more of a story that they may or may not be telling themselves, because it's not that we don't spend time with them.
Well, we have been away a lot too.
Around, but so we have been away on the courses, so that's certainly an impact.
But it's been good for them because it's given them a lot more independence as well.
Yes.
A bonus for
them.
So
that's a bonus, and I wouldn't say there's been any begrudging or hatred of us for going and leaving them. They don't like it when we go away, because like, oh, you're leaving us again.
Well, our eldest does.
But are you going to go fill the fridge, and what are you going to get us to eat, and get us all the good stuff, which they usually eat within a day, so it's okay. So they look at the different positives and negatives and whatever, they give us the old pouty eyes. Oh please. Anyway,
we can still like recently, as you mentioned in one of the previous shows, we had the secret watch for a whole week, 7 days, and the last 3 days our eldest came and sat down and watched with us. So I think that made an impact on him. He was very much more mindful than he ever used to be, for sure. And we were actually both really proud of him for their interest in it, and the fact that they can't get away from it from the household side of things. It'll be interesting to see when we move out, and if it continues. I hope so, because I think it really should settle into their subconscious for it to be a a normal thing and a normal habit that they're going to be getting into, and the stuff that they do to make themselves better people. So on Sunday night or Saturday night, I was going through my notes on Saturday. The universe was speaking to me and said, hey, I think you should go through your notes again. So I just sat down and went through all my paradigm shift notes and my matrix notes, and I actually wrote them all out again and just rejigged them a little bit. And I sort of made a date with the family in the evening, say, okay, let's go over my notes, let's go through them and discuss them and find out what certain things mean. And there's a lot of quotes written down that I picked up from Bob and other people that he quoted as well. And so we sat down and I went through the book, and it was really, really interesting. I had a philosophical conversation with the teenagers, and it was about 2 hours long. And it was just really, really cool. We talked about what they think spirituality means, and whether it's a religious thing or not, which we decided it's not. It's just how you are inside and how you interact with the universe. And one of the quotes was, I am actually is, it is, which is a very deep one that we discussed. What else did we talk about? There's lots of quotes, for sure.
There was lots of quotes. There was lots of just little snippets and just the discussion around the conversations or the meetings or the thoughts behind some of the notes that you'd taken down.
Really cool.
And it was very good, and it was interesting too, because we asked the kids what they thought about some of the quotes. And what surprised us with the answers that they'd come out with,
very deep,
means that they've actually been taking on board a lot of this information, and not just that they were, I'm gonna say exactly what I've heard you say in the past, and I'm not right. They actually understood. These things were not coming word for word, verbatim repeats of what's been said or what they've heard. They've actually come out with their own ways of saying some of these, getting these points of information across, which is actually really good. And it says that they've been taking it and just watching their body language and the emotion with which they spoke says that they've taken it on board and are really understanding it.
There's a lot of mind-blown explosion things going on even with their hands. They were doing the whole Mimi thing. So, well, especially Jamie, the youngest, he was more vocal in his responses to the quotes. I think Scott was more taking it in and just letting it settle, but was also saying some really good stuff too.
Yes, I think he's more of a theorizer. He's the elder one that keeps watching us, and wants to see the results. He suffers from what I have, where there's a logical aspect of your brain that's going, okay, how does this work, to, wow, that's pretty cool, how does that make sense, how does it fit in my life?
One of the quotes was, if you rely on logic too much, you're screwed. So, and that was really threw them for a curveball a bit, actually, didn't it? I think they didn't quite get that.
That was probably one of our longer conversations to try and explain and understand and see what goes on. So it was really good.
So we're very proud of our kids. We know that there's a lot more growth. They've way a lot more growth to go. There is a course coming up next month that we would like them to go on, which is the one that we did in June, which is communication and speakers workshop. So we'll have to see if we've got the funds for that, but it would be good for them to go to that, because it's made a huge difference in the way we see conversations and how we communicate with people. So we're hoping to get them to that as well. So they haven't really done any courses, so I want to get them started on courses. I want them to do an MMI, definitely. They seem to have taken them out of Canada now, so we're going to have to look at the States to do that. So we'll probably be looking in the new year for that. Anything else?
No, I think that was it. But going back to the book side of things, the kids have seen us read lots of books, and that could be an us thing, it could be a generational thing, it could be how we're interpreting, because everybody is unique and everybody will take on information in different ways. There's your visual, there's your audio, and then there's your kinesthetic, which is basically about experiences and doing things, and spiritual, which is, I think, more vibrations and whatever. It's the less trackable and the less known medium for getting information out. It probably, more the emotional learning, that's it. I haven't been measured or tested on the spiritual side of things, but I seem to be fairly even on all the other three. And I would say perhaps a little bit more on the kinesthetic, and possibly up there with the audio for me. So the audiobooks have been quite good. Now our eldest, actually neither of the kids really read books. They've sort of been really forced to read my book, the book on personal development. And they've given me feedback on that. I think Scott, our eldest, has only read the first 3 chapters, so we're kind of pressing him to go and read the rest of it. My youngest has certainly read all the way through and actually noticed grammatical and spelling errors and stuff like that when we were going through the editing process of it, which is sort of one of the other reasons why I was trying to get everybody in the family to look at it, to go, does this sound okay? Is it junk? Is, you know, what can you find wrong? So we caught a whole other set of errors that way, which is great. But on this side of things, our eldest has got on board in the last few weeks on audiobooks, and as Wendy was saying right at the start, actually on the last video, that within this period of probably 2, maybe 3 weeks, I think he's listened to just about every book we've got on our Audible account, which is amazing. Some of them are not what I would say easy topics. The ones like the Richest Man in Babylon, maybe a little bit out there conceptually, but it's not a bad listen. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is actually a really good book for giving you information and for being an easy listen to. So he got through those, are great, but then he's also done The Science of Getting Rich, Outwitting the Devil, which is actually a good one to take on for audio, but the concepts are a little bit deeper. So, I mean, that's been amazing, and so that's clearly his medium for taking on board the information. And it could also be a generational thing, that seeing as they spend most of their days watching videos of this, that, and everything else.
With the headphones in.
That just listening to stuff, they just taking it more on board anyway, right? Could be just how they're learning.
Anyway, we're running out of time, so that's really our update with the kids. We'd like to interview the kids coming up in the future, just to see how they see their side with it from their side of things. I just want to show you one of my our shirts. Thoughts become things. Think wisely. And that is available on our shop, bedolearnhavelive.com, and I will put a link in the descriptions. And I think that's it for today. So we'll see you next time, and have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.